With 2 days to go before the premiere of the controversial Anas Investigative documentary, details are emerging tonight about what GFA boss Kwesi Nyantakyi told police investigators when he was questioned over his fraudulent use of the name of President Akufo-Addo. We have exclusive details about payments he alleges were made to some past government officials. Plus, GJ accuses Kennedy Japan of working against the interest of the state.
We don't need any superfluity evidence to arrive at that conclusion. But attempts by security, his pictures are being circulated with murderous intentions.
Also tonight, NewMont Ghana, DRA and Consa Limited slapped with more than $2.7 million fine after investigations into the accident at their Hafo mine indicted the three companies for not complying with mining regulations.
But the ministry is very keen, and government, we really want to find out the details, and the law would have to be applied.
Meanwhile, DRA has just 2 weeks to open a fully functional office in Ghana or face sanctions. And then later, parents of over 100 students of the Prince of Peace Junior High School in the Northern Region up in arms over failure of school proprietor to register the awards for the BECE.
I don't know how my life is going to be seeing my daughters and my son staying back. And as me, the master will tell us that they are not qualified to write. In fact, it's very painful.
And later in sports, Ghana International Emmanuel Ajiman-Bedu wades into conversation on the yet-to-be premiered controversial spy project dubbed Number 12, put together by investigative journalist Anas Arimiyao Anas. I'll tell you more much later with sports.
And in business, some commercial banks attribute the sustained depreciation of the cedi to limited supply of dollar cash by the Bank of Ghana.
And much later on flip side, as many count down to Anas Arimiyao Anas's much anticipated film featuring GFA boss Kwesi Nyantakyi, comedians Langabil and Ruben offer their rendition of some popular words that have come up so far.
Expose means that you want to expose me for people to know that I am that I am. Are you God? Pardon?
Well, you want to join us with your own thoughts on that? Send us a WhatsApp 0244340437. My name is Evans Mensah.
I am MFA Paul.
Details after the short break.
Just called. They need you to take care of her fees.
That's easy as star 422 hash. Done.
Fees paid?
Paid. That's GCB mobile banking there.
Can we pay the plumber through mobile money for the guest bathroom sink?
Star 422 hash. Money sent. And done.
And buy the driver some airtime for his phone? I'll be sending him out soon.
Star 422 hash. Also done.
How about we topping up our electricity
credit? Yeah, it's quite low. Star 422 hash. And that's done too.
I'm loving this GCB mobile banking. I need to sign on so I can also pay some.
Oh, that's easy. Dial star 422 hash and it's done.
Top up airtime. Transfer money between accounts. Pay school fees to over 300 schools. Pay DSTV bill. Send and receive mobile money across all network wallets. Consider it done with GCB's mobile banking service. It's as easy as star 422 hash. Walk into any GCB branch or contact 0800 422 422 for more information. GCB, your bank for life.
Everybody is talking about it, from the students on campus to the CEOs in the boardrooms, from the guys in the workshops to the aunties in the market. Everyone is excited about the MTN Ghana share offer.
I can't believe it's actually happening.
For the first time ever, MTN Ghana is offering its shares to the general public.
The MTN Ghana share offer is open from 29th May to 31st July 2018. Buy your MTN Ghana shares at 75 Ghana pesos per share. Shares must be purchased in multiples of 10 with a minimum purchase of 7 cedis 50 pesos.
Dial star 170 hash and select option 7 to buy through MTN Momo or buy online at mtnghanashares.com or visit selected MTN Ghana branches, IC Securities Ghana Limited, any of our selected banks or any licensed stockbroker of the Ghana Stock Exchange to buy your MTN Ghana shares or to pick up a copy of the prospectus. You can also dial star 533 hash or visit mtnghanashares.com to access the prospectus.
Please read the offer prospectus and seek appropriate expert advice before deciding to participate in the offer. Everywhere you go.
Joy 99.7 FM.
And we start tonight with that soon-to-be premiered Investigative. Have you got a ticket yet, MFA?
Yes, I have.
Okay, which day are you going to watch?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Yes. I think mine is Wednesday. By the way, 2 days to go before the premiere of the controversial and NAS investigative documentary. Details tonight emerging about what the GFA boss, Kwesi Nyantakyi, told police investigators when he was questioned over his fraudulent use of the name of President Akufo-Addo.
Now, before we get to the GJA President Afil who's been talking about this, give us the details of what you found.
So, what our sources tell us is, you remember, it's on the 23rd last month that he appeared before the police. In fact, the specific unit was the forensic financial unit of the police service, and in the statement that he gave, and from what our sources have told us, and we've verified, he had mentioned in that statement that his investor friends, so remember that he had met these investor friends that had become an issue. His investor friends had given out $8 million. He wrote this in the statement, had given out $8 million before the 2016 elections to the NDC and to the John Mahama campaign. I understand that the police, as you can imagine, they invited Anthony Cabo because his name was dropped. Yeah. In addition to that particular invitation, our sources tell us that the police are also following up on this particular lead. A few questions that they are pursuing. It's an allegation, of course. So, was the money indeed paid? Who did they pay? These investor friends, and it's from what I hear, it is the name of one particular sheikh was mentioned, and did this particular sheikh give this amount of money that Mr. Nyantakyi had alleged was given to the John Mahama campaign and to the NDC, but also when was it given and what was it given for? And the police investigators are pursuing this leading fact, not only locally, understand, but also international money trails are being followed because of what Nyantakyi had put forward. People had said that essentially Nyantakyi was bragging. The police, essentially, from what I heard today, want to make sure that it's not simply because if you take him to court, I spoke to the lawyers who said if he goes to court and says I was bragging then the case drops. But if he can find something of evidential value in some of the things he said to these will-be investors, then they can hold him. And this is one of the things that the police investigators are pursuing, the leads they are pursuing currently, that $8 million. He wrote this in a statement on the 23rd to the financial forensic unit, that $8 million have been given to the John Mahama campaign just before the 2016 elections and to the NDC. And that is the lead that the police currently are chasing. It appears that this is taking a life of its own. And I'm pretty sure that this is Tuesday and Wednesday, a lot more police action probably will follow. And this will play out in the public domain. But that is what our sources are telling us tonight. Now, as we speak ahead of Tuesday, the GJA is not letting off in terms of their critique of Kennedy Japan. Already they've asked for police protection for Anas Remy Anas. Tonight they are accusing, I think, Central MP Kennedy Japan of working against the interest of the state for his continuous attacks on ace investigative journalist Anas Remy Anas. Now, according to GJA President Afomoni, Mr. Japan's actions are meant to derail the fight against corruption, and that must not be allowed to happen. Mr. Japan, I'm sure you know, has accused Anas of corruption and released an audio recording in which he is allegedly extorting money from a businessman. Let's speak to President of the GJA, Mr. Afomoni, who is joining us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Afomoni, I'm grateful that you joined us here on NewsNite. So
thank you for having me.
What's the basis for accusing Kennedy Japan of working against the interests of the state? He says he has evidence as well of criminality. If he does, it is within his right as a citizen to push that, doesn't it?
In the sense that every story has two or more sides. Ken has peddling one side that Anas corrupt, he is clean. And on the flip side is the fact that some people have been caught in perpetrating corruption, which has brought our football to its knees. We don't know the full facts. Ken has his own opinion to which he's fully entitled. And Ken is known for pursuing his convictions with brutal and ruthless single-mindedness. So we encourage him to do that. But on the issue of Anas, we are overly worried about he's gone and he's still going to paint Anas in the very bad light. We wish that he waits till Wednesday when the whole video is screened yet, for the public to make their opinions. Thankfully, he says he also has a video on Anas, which paints him as somebody who is corrupt, extorting money from people, and we will not stop him from doing that because, as I said, every story has two or more sides. He has all the latitude and freedom to peddle his side. So we want a play field. We want all sides to play out in the public domain. And out of a chaotic spiral of accusations and counter-accusations, I believe the truth will come out. So nobody should prevent anybody from peddling his side. But what we found on seriously is the distribution of the pictures or so-called pictures of Anas with murderous intentions.
Those are strong words to use, murderous intent. That as you're suggesting that Kennedy Japan has intentions to kill Anas Arame and also have somebody do it because of the pictures leaked?
I said without one doesn't need any bit of evidence to conclude. This idea of distributing pictures of Anas is to expose him to harm. It is as simple as that. Otherwise, the point, because Anas has been up for years. Anas has done stories, pieces of investigations which have shaken the foundations of the judiciary. Many people did not have any qualms about that. Anas had done other stories which aided the fight against corruption.
But even that point, some may challenge, because we recall not too long ago, the current Special Prosecutor Martin Amadou took great issue with Anas Arame Anas and the way he had conducted his probe into the judge's matter and had threatened to fight him all the way. You recall that particular episode. So this is the first time this has happened.
Yes, he did. And the Chief Justice or Judiciary, in its wisdom, took on board what Anas did. Endorsed the findings against certain judges, and those judges were fired. It's true that Anas didn't have it 100% right, but the substratum of what he did was that some judges were found to have compromised their integrity, and thus resulted in their dismissal. So the record is that what Anas did was endorsed by the whole judiciary, led by the Chief Justice, the former Chief Justice, the leadership, Georgina Wood. And also did some pieces of work which were also endorsed by the presidency. I do recall that the late President Mills, we even know for a fact that the presidency collaborated with Anas to do what he did at the port and other sectors of the economy. So we certainly it's not within the bounds of possibility for everybody to side with Anas. We know that so well. But all that we are saying that in a free society such as ours, go ahead to peddle whatever you have against the guy, but going to the extent of showing pictures which are alleged that they are that of Anas, with the view to mobilizing hatred, exposing him to harm. This is something we frown upon. This is something we want the security agencies to address it with urgent promptitude.
Now, Mr. Philmoni, you'll recall that when Joy News' Manasseh Azuria, when he released an investigative piece on Jospon, the GJA issued a statement cautioning journalists against working to bring down Ghanaian businesses. But now we're hearing the GJA also issue a statement asking for some protection of a sort for Anas as well. There are those who think it's a display of double standards. You agree?
There's nothing dubious about this standard because Manasseh's life, Manasseh did not complain that his life was in danger. Manasseh's speeches were not distributed.
But have we heard Anas complain that his life is in danger?
Anas has complained.
To the GJA? To the GJA?
Anas has Ghana Journalists Association.
Okay.
I have spoken to Anas and he has complained. And others too have complained. Manasseh, I didn't hear Manasseh complaining about his life being in.
But he conducted an investigative piece and the GJA openly condemned him for it. Another journalist has also conducted an investigative piece and the GJA is lauding him for it. Is that not it?
There's no relationship between what Anas did and what Manasseh did. There's no relationship at all. So please, let's spare us the agony of comparing the two or putting the two in the same bracket.
Let me ask you this. On this same Anas matter, you had indicated publicly that, in fact, asked the police to give him protection. Have you followed up with a formal complaint or petition to the IGP for this to happen? And have they responded with a detail?
We have responded. The police, we heard from other sources that police said Anas should complain physically at any police station. And we think it's not within the bounds of possibility, given the circumstances in which Anas finds himself now, to go to any police station to complain. The police have been acting on leads and pegs provided by the media. The media have been serving as giving red alerts to the police, early warning signals to the police upon which they act. So they don't have to wait for Anas to lodge a formal complaint before the act. In line with proactive policing and not reactive policing, I believe the police should act with urgent promptitude to safeguard the physical integrity of Anas in these present circumstances.
Thank you very much. That's the GJ president there speaking to us about their concerns with what Kennedy Japan has been doing. Well, the legislator Kennedy Japan had last week relied on one Hafiz Mohammed as his witness to claim the journalist extorts money from persons captured in his investigative work in order not to show them in the final documentary. Now, Hafiz Mohammed was a subject of investigations by the new Crusading Guide News, where Anas is a deputy editor concerning a gold scam. Now, he claimed he paid money to Anas, which led to the case being dropped. Now, listen to the audio the Ascent Central MP released to back his claim.
Ghana, Suwa, you understand who? That's a big money. 10, 15, 20 million in this country. People are sitting down. Nigerians are taking and are sitting down. They cannot do anything.
And they don't even invest the money here.
They take it away. Okay, so now let's look for a way out. I think that as for the money, they will trail it. I know, because Egbert is already at the bank. Egbert Fable Jr. Lawyer take tall on that.
He just asked us, couldn't the money, how much did you take? How much did you take? You took $500,000+, and the guy said no. He sent me $195,000. That's the amount of money I have, not $500,000+.
How do we know that we transfer put in Nayaba others? Because the whole idea, and how do you also know that when he's in trouble, he's not going to say he's giving you money? He's not going to. He's not wise.
Well, if you listen closer to that audio you just heard, Hafiz Mohammed is heard mentioning the name of legal practitioner Egbert Fable as being on standby to transfer an amount of money to the businessman. Now, Mr. Fable in the Facebook post says the tip cannot be evidence and not engage in any activities to receive bribe.
My attention has been drawn to an audio tape going around which my name is mentioned by Anas Arimia Anas as following some money at a bank. Well, the background is that in 2009, one Hafiz of Hafred Security Services Limited was arrested for defrauding a Dubai company of $5.7 million in a gold scam. My services were retained as a lawyer by the duped company to ensure prosecution of Hafiz and his accomplices. Anas Arimia Anas was the one who was engaged by the duped company to track down Hafiz and his accomplice, which he did. The audio going around is an interrogation of two or so of Hafiz's accomplices by Anas, which led to the arrest of Hafiz. Hafiz was subsequently prosecuted by the Attorney General of the Accra High Court, presided over by Justice Charles Quist. The tape cannot therefore be evidence of any bribery. The screenshots here may serve as a useful guide to those who may want to Google the arrest of Hafiz.
Well, still on this Anas story, which is unfolding and developing into an organism by itself, managing editor of the New Crusading Guy newspaper, Abdul Kwekubako, who spoke on Newsfile over the weekend, also denied the claim that Anas took a bribe to kill a story.
I'm told the gentleman came talking about Anas took money from him and all those things. Then I recollected this gentleman, Mohammed Hafiz, was a subject of investigation by the New Crusading Guide, 2009. And that investigation was led by Anas. It was in the 5.7 million gold scam. And Anas' investigative team, that time was exclusively New Crusading Guide, nothing to do with Tiger Eye, collaborated with the police and went to the gentleman's house to arrest him. The stories are here. You can look for 17 September 2009, Ghana Web. You look for November 13, 2009, Ghana Web, and all that. And this matter became a running battle between Anas and this gentleman and the newspaper. Eventually, the police took the case to court. The gentleman was charged. The judge that presided over that trial was Justice Quist. I don't know if the name rings a bell. Then something went on in court and everything was bizarre. But that was the beginning of where decision to put Justice Quist on the radar. I'm talking of from 2009. Eventually, 2015 and 2016, Justice Quist was busted by Tiger Eye. The Hafiz guy, his story is a long story, but I've decided that I'll focus only what has been said. His name was mentioned by Kennedy Japan. He has also come out to say something. So I will not go into other details about his own problems with the law.
So it's not true that Anas, took a bribe to shell?
Yeah, it is a lie.
So that's Kwekubako Jr. And MFI, this Anas story appears to have developed into
just like an octopus.
Mm-hmm. It's tentacles going everywhere. Now, of course, we know, and what the exclusive we brought to you, the police are following a lead based on allegations made by Nyantechi in his statement to the police on the 23rd that some amount of money has been given, $8 million to the John Mahama campaign before the elections and to some NDC officials. Then we are hearing about all these allegations of Anas taking bribe, etc. Interesting few days ahead, definitely, when this is premiered. So listen to NewsNite here on Joy 99.7 FM.
The supervisor who was there.
You are the mines manager.
Project manager for the whole expansion.
You have no idea exactly what happened. Well, so the mine inspectorate will take it up, and but the ministry is very keen, and as government, we really want to find out the details and what actually happened.
So that's Lands Minister John Peter Amewu speaking at the Ahafo mine of Newmont Ghana Gold Limited in April this year. Now, 6 workers of the construction firm Consa Limited working on the Ahafo mine expansion project died after concrete slabs collapsed on them. Mr. Amewu ordered the Minerals Commission to investigate the accident and advise the ministry on it. Now, the report after 5 weeks of investigation indicts Newmont Ghana, DRA and Consa Limited for breaching and in some cases not complying with mining regulations. My colleague Ernest Menu joins us in studio with more on this report. So Ernest, first, a total of $2.74 million fine was slapped on the DRA, Consa and Newmont Ghana. What's the breakdown for each?
All right, so for Newmont Ghana, a total of $530,000 was slapped on them. That's the fine they had to pay. For DRA, $2,010,000, and for Consa, $210,000. So it amounts to $2,740,000.
Now, What are the reasons given for the fine? Let's start with Newmont.
Okay, so for Newmont Ghana, they are fined $10,000 for failure to ensure that DRA Ghana Limited obtains a mining services operating permit prior to commencing operations at the Ahafo site, and for each day that the company had operated without the mine support operating permit, an additional 200 CD US dollar fine. Again, Newmont is fined $10,000 for a breach of Regulation 23 of the LI 218, which is the mining regulation. There's another fine Newmont has to pay, which is $10,000 for not ensuring that DRA, which is the engineering company, DRA Ghana Limited, and Consa, the construction firm, had no emergency response plan.
So that's for Newmont.
That's for
How
Newmont
about
Ghana.
DRA and Consa?
So DRA, they had to pay 10,000 Ghana cedis for operating without the permits, and another 2 million. And that's the big one. This 2 million came from the directive of the ministry. So, from the minister. So the committee recommended that they pay 10,000 for not for operating without a firm, and the minister slapped $2 million on them.
So aside the committee's recommendations, the ministry also gave these directives.
Absolutely. So there are two directives. It says that for their contribution to the accident to save the implementation of I and II, that is to be suspended, DRA Ghana Limited is to pay an additional $2 million. NGGL, that is Newmont Ghana Limited, is to pay an additional $500,000, and Consa Ghana Limited to pay an additional $200,000. The second directive is that DRA should open a fully functional local office in Ghana, which is manned by a resident managing director within 2 weeks upon receipt of this report.
And thank you very much. Now, Abraham Otable is the PRO of the Lands Ministry and joins us in the studio. Ms. Otable, thank you for time here on Newsnight. Have you served a copy of this report on the companies?
Exactly. So we have served copies to them, and they are fully in the known of it. Let me just quick to mention that the 2 million slapped to DRA by the ministry is to, as it were, replace the total yet to be or the total band recommended by the committee. If you look at item under the recommendation I and II, that's 1 and 2, the committee did recommended that we should be able to ban them totally. But of course, subject to the minister's perusal and advice from its end, it came up that we needed to slap them with a fine. So that was how come we imposed the 2 million fine from the ministry.
This is DRA?
DRA, exactly.
Which what is your specialty? What is it that they deal in?
They deal with engineering and the management.
So mining, engineering, etc.
Exactly so.
Okay. And they were operating in Ghana without a permit?
They were, as it were, as came up from the finding. And that is why this huge amount should be.
How long were they in Ghana without a permit?
Well, from our checks, they've been on the field for some years now. We are still trying to confirm that, but they've been working with Newmont for some time now at the Ahafo mines.
And what is the directive for DRA to open a fully functional office in Ghana set to achieve? I mean, why that directive that they should open a fully functional?
Yes, of course. People should be able to have a trace your address as to where you are. We are aware that they work in about 20 countries in the world. But of course, if you try to locate them, it's quite difficult in Ghana. And so we think that at least they should have that face and for them to fully operate. And so that is why we think that it is very necessary, because you should be able to have your footprint wherever you are. So this 2 million slap from the ministry is not to say that, yes, we have left them off the hook, but of course also to serve a strong indication or warning that we are not going to entertain any mining company, whether large or small scale, to, as it were, do any business anyhow. And so we have thrown a word of caution to them. We have fined them, and based on the petition presented to the sector minister in his wisdom, and then based on his consultations with his elders, think that we should be able to fine them. And so that's exactly what we've done. We haven't banned them totally.
That is DRA.
DRA.
But what about Newmont? They of course they
also did attract some fine because they engaged them.
Yeah, but the total fine you gave for all the parties who you found to have was what? $2.7 million.
Yes.
That's a drop in the bucket for companies like Newmont and DRA. Some say you are treating them with kid gloves.
Not at all. Evans, you agree with me that, of course, we are not much even interested. Yes, the fine is true, but it's not only about the money. We are looking at the state safety precautions that they have to institute.
Yeah.
Okay. In the mine site, one of the key areas that we are looking at is their safety record. That is more paramount to us because we don't think that you have to do business anyhow. And tomorrow we hear that 6 people died on site. But we think that they have to resource their safety institutions or their safety records. That is what we are looking at. And so our concern is that they should make sure that they beef up their safety records. That is the call of the ministry. Of course, we could impose any fine on them and all that. But at the end of the day, what are we looking at? Is that people do business in a more harmonious manner or harmonious way. And that is the way to go. And so for us, we think that they cannot also operate without having local content. Those are some of the key
elements. So you directed that they should engage some of the
local content. That is also paramount to the
So you're saying that Newmont was operating this way without its
they were engaged in sort of
fulfilling its local content obligations.
They were somehow, but we think that it has to be fully instituted.
Okay,
we cannot have it done any haphazardly.
But what you're saying, just a final question: what responsibility does the ministry take in what has happened? Although you've told us, also points to you went to sleep essentially. The guys were operating in Ghana for several years without a permit. DRA, Newmont, you say, was not fully applying the laws that you passed and regulates the industry in terms of local content fully. You say you were doing it partially, and yet you sat down for somebody to die before you now imposing these sanctions on them. $2 million, a huge drop in the bucket for a company like Newmont.
Yeah,
you should take part of the blame.
Evans, what I'm saying is that as we speak now, the entire regulator or the Minerals Commission is being restructured because it's one of the key areas that we are looking at. That the inspectorate division has to be resourced to be able to regulate these mining companies. So in somewhat, we agree that we need to do a lot more. And that is why, for the first time, we've been able to call up these sanctions on them. We are going to go further up the game. But of course, we are not interested in just fining or putting sanctions. Our call is to ensure that people do business
and do it right and respect the laws. Mr. Taba, I'm grateful that you join us here on NewsNite. That's Mr. Tabala there. He is the PRO for the Mines Ministry. He joins us on NewsNite. Quickly, a regular story about police officers extorting money from members of the public. That's not come as a surprise to many Ghanaians. But for Behestein Kroma, his experience may be rare and one that may shock you. On the 20th of February this year, he set out on a journey from Aflao to Accra. It would have been a regular journey, but an encounter with 5 police officers who had stationed themselves opposite the Central University Pram changed the course of his journey and left him stranded in Adan with no money. He narrates his ordeal to join Mrs. Benes Abubedu.
The car was stopped and the officer asked me to come down with another guy. So I was the first to come down from my bag. He searched my pocket, he got nothing. Opened my bag, I was there, he opened the bag. So when he got through the search, I thought he was just giving the bag. By the time I realized he held my trousers, took me to their car and said that they found weed in my bag. So I told him I had no idea about what they were talking about. I begged and wept and cried. I did everything just for them to let me. I had a new phone, Samsung Galaxy X2, which I bought. So I told them I had no money on me. I was willing to give them the food just to let me go. They refused. They kept me there. They caught me, arrested me around 3 o'clock. Actually, what I had in my money account was about 5-something million. They cashed out 5-something million, leaving only 3 cedis in my account. They released me around 11 p.m. in the evening, in the middle of nowhere. The very phone I was asking them to take, in fact, they started insulting me, telling me, do I know the type of phones they were using? That they were going to slap me. I told them that I never meant what the way they were taking it. Along the way, they were insisting that I call my family. I should call my people. I told them I had nobody to call. Then he took my phone from me, went to my call log, and I went ahead begging them not to call my mother because of her health condition. They went ahead and called my mom.
This was about 3 months ago, and Behestein Kroma just got justice today.
I went to the police office at Salamda, and I was given several dates to come. And each time I came, I never met the officer in charge. The last time I met him, he was like I'm rather the person not coming, so you might make the case a dead case. And that prompted me to go to Shirash. And I was advised to relax and let them make the case a dead case, then I could come back. And then they also advised me that I could write my petition to the IGP and make a copy to the National PIPS boss, which I intended doing before I was called by the PIPS boss, COP, Kofi Boache. So he took the case from the officer in charge, one Edmond Carr, and gave it to a different officer. In fact, they denied everything. This actually makes COP Kofi Boache very furious. And then he left them in the office, went to the IGP, where I don't know what they discussed. So when he came back, he asked them to go and lock them at the Nima police station.
Well, so this was investigated by PIPS. And remember, PIPS have been under a lot of pressure recently that they simply cover up for police officers. My colleague Benes is in the studio with us. Benes, 5 officers denied the allegation. So how was it determined they were being untruthful?
So interestingly, what happened was that they took off their tags from their uniforms. So the only way this gentleman was able to identify them was by tracking the mobile money transaction. And through that, he determined that one Lance Corporal Joseph Danso was the one who actually sent the money to himself. So when the case went before COP Kofi Boache, they denied the allegations and actually said they had kept him for just about an hour. But the transaction time, which was about 9:54, actually, gave them away.
I see. So, and you've been tracking the police, trying to get a word from them. Why won't the police speak to this?
Well, COP Kofi Boache says he's not looking for publicity in this. He just wants this to serve as a caution to other police officers, and says that what they did was was unacceptable and very unprofessional. Now, what they actually told COP Kofi Boache was that the gentleman was resisting arrest, and he says that when that happens, what a police officer has to do is to take the suspect to a police station, which they did not do, and so they've been very unprofessional. He says he won't comment on the matter. In fact, in my presence, he asked the officer in charge to lock them up at the Nima police station, and says a report on the case should be ready by Wednesday.
And is Bahistan Kroma the victim? Is he making any more demands?
Well, COP Kofi Boache ordered that tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. the 500 CDs be returned, his mobile phone be returned, but he says that this has cost him more than that. His mother is not well, and he couldn't write his examination, had to use all his money to take care of her. So he actually wants compensation to foot the bills of his mother.
Benes, thank you very much. And the police officers, where are they now?
Nima police station.
So they are behind bars?
5 of them.
They've been convicted, or they're going to be tried now?
They're going to be tried. In fact, what I'm hearing is that there's going to be a service inquiry, and then some demotions may take place.
But the PIPS has established that they were in the wrong.
Exactly.
They would victimize this gentleman. Thank you very much, Benes. And later on, as many countdown to Anas Areme Anas' much anticipated film featuring GFA boss Kwesi Nyantakyi, comedians Langabell and Rubin offer the rendition of some popular words that have come up so far.
Expose means that you want to expose me for people to know that I am that I am. Are you God? Pardon?
Interesting. George, what's your favorite word to have come out of this whole Anas GFA saga? Expose.
And then the number 12.
Number 12.
So is it number or number 12?
You know, I said Numa.
Don't worry.
You know, when you're a Ghana person, you have to struggle. You have to be
please, your own H and then R and H. I'm happy.
Okay, I'm happy. I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to your delivery on the business.
Oh, no, it has its own.
So just admit which one. Which one is your difficulty?
The fact that I'm happy to tell the news.
You're happy.
Happy. Okay. No, coming up in business, some banks attribute Citi's sustained depreciation to limited supply of dollar cash by the Bank of Ghana, and ESLA PLC responds to claims that the Chamber of Bulk Distribution Companies of under reporting and revenue leakage on receipts from petroleum products. The business news on NewsNite is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials and stationery. And Heaven Plus Insecticide Mosquito Spray, pleasant on human beings, tough nightmare on insects. And United Pension Trustees, my own pension, pa.
I love my wife so much. Look, we don't know rough. We just share everything.
Baby, can I have your car keys?
Only the car. Take the garage too.
And can you wash the dishes today? I'm tired.
Oh, of course, baby.
Please help me carry this.
I'll carry heavens for you.
Darling, can I have your MTN Momo pin?
No. Sure, with MTN Momo, the only way in is with your PIN. Never share it with anyone. Remember, MTN will never ask you for your Momo PIN under any circumstance. Never approve any transaction you have not initiated. Momo is safe, secure, and convenient everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and now free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Akwisipa, you're still listening to this budget reading. Share, Masa, say budget necessary. Now, what's the sabi? They say, Miss my personal budget. No, I am with the dream pension. Hey, wait there, 1 man, 1 pension plan. Oh, yes, make what one more now. Sign up to my own pension plan with United Pension Trustees and gain access to higher interest, additional benefits such as savings account and flexible contributions. Wait there, pension, papa. Secure your future by signing on to my own pension from United Pension Trustees. Go to your MTN Momo menu by dialing *170#. Select option 9 for pensions and insurance. Then option 1 for my own pension. Then you select option 1 to enroll and follow the prompts. Make daily, weekly, and monthly contributions to build your wealth with United Pension Trustees. For further inquiries, call our customer service center on 0242 436 880 or 0302 208 042. My own pension. Pension Papa.
Today, we can't trust sources of water anymore. Confidence is gone due to human activities. Same human activities introduces well-mechanized machines which purifies water. I bring to you ultimate natural mineral water. Deep from underground, tasty, well-purified and corporately packaged. Ultimate natural mineral water. My water, your water, our water. Produced by FedEx Ventures Limited. For bulk, call 020-379-1888 or 0244-515-801. Ultimate natural mineral water. Let's drink the new.
Oh, heaven, heaven. Heaven, 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 heaven. Black jumbo mosquito coil, smoothless coil, pa pa pa. If you move into my tamfo, no smoke, no kata. Ninkano suya embubu, embubu. They were having mosquito spray, ekumutuntum, ekumutefere, and was sweet lemon perfume. Who spray ya? Who to me that? Your red label can, yellow label can. To heaven, boy, was young by. To be confused, couple was young by. Oh, Botenti. To be confused, couple was young by. Oh, Botenti. Heaven, 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 heaven. Heaven, 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 no mosquito, no cockroaches, Ebrikuzu, Ebrikuzu, oh, Botenti.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back to Business on NewsNite. Now, some commercial banks in the country are attributing the city's sustained depreciation to limited amount of dollar cash on the market. There's more in the following Business Desk report.
According to some of the banks, even though the decision by some investors to get out of our local bonds have contributed to the returns on U.S. bonds, the Bank of Ghana has not helped the situation. Some of them have argued that the dollar supplied by the central bank is not enough to meet even half of their demand. Some of them have also told Joy Business that they are even struggling to trade among themselves because the regulator has not been comfortable with the rates they are even quoting, leaving the interbank market very dormant. However, it is not clear what is influencing Bank of Ghana's stance in terms of its intervention in the market, looking at the central bank's reserve position, which has reached over $7 billion. However, analysts have also maintained that the regulator may want to be tactful with its interventions.
And that was a Business Desk report. Now, meanwhile, the company established to actually manage the energy sector debt, ESLA PLC, has challenged claims by the Chamber of Bulk Distribution Companies of underreporting and revenue leakage. Now, this follows report by the Chamber that petroleum receipts for 2016 and 2017 were actually underdeclared. But in a statement, the ESLA PLC says the data could actually reflect the volumes consumed, but actually can be wrong in using those volumes to compute taxes paid on these petroleum products on the market. On the revenue side, ESLA PLC argued that the Ghana Revenue Authority and the National Petroleum Authority have actually taken steps to actually address these issues. Economist Professor Peter Court is proposing some marginal increase in wages to help deal with the recent rising cost of living. His proposal follows the recent hike in price of petroleum products and transport, a development is believed to have eroded the little income of the workers, which has been able to be managed for a while. Professor Court has been explaining to Joy Business why government must move in fast to control the situation.
The government has to continue to pursue the policy of growing the real sector, agriculture, industry, to ensure that food production, manufacturing increases. Once there is abundant supply of food, there is increased income, the effect can be mitigated. I also think that real wages have declined over time. We've seen inflation going up, but a little is heard about government increasing wages. I believe it's about time the unions also start negotiating for some kind of increase to cushion workers against the losses suffered from inflation. The other means by which government can help absorb the increase is to review the tax on petrol, on fuel. That will require some legislation, and I believe once that is done, then when prices increase, that is been done recently, government can reduce taxes to ensure that we maintain prices at the pump.
And that was economist Professor Peter Cote. The country has been ranked third in the latest African Sovereignty Wealth Fund Index. The report ranked 12 countries in Africa on how their state investment funds have performed since their inception. Philip Nanfuri has more.
The index, which was launched last Friday in Accra, examined the size, governance and disclosure, source of funding, as well as domestic investment mandates of sovereign wealth funds on the African continent. Ghana ranked third with an overall score of about 62%. The country beat countries like Angola with 56.57%, Morocco with 38.92%, and Gabon with 47.17%. Nigeria, however, stole the top spot with a score of 62.49%. Followed by Rwanda in second place with a score of 62.24%. A sovereign wealth fund refers to a state-owned investment fund used for stabilization of the economy, for infrastructural development, and for savings for the future generations. Ghana's Sovereign Wealth Fund consists of the Ghana Petroleum Funds, established in 2011 to target economic stabilization, infrastructure development, and savings for future generations. Currently, the country's Sovereign Wealth Fund has accumulated about 875 million Ghana cedis.
Philip Nanfuri with that report. Meanwhile, managing partner at Confidence Advisory Group, Michael Koto, has described Ghana's sovereign wealth funds as fairly young and more room for improvement.
So, Michael, what do you make of Ghana's position in the sovereign wealth fund market?
Well, so Ghana's petroleum funds, which were established after Ghana started producing oil and gas in commercial quantities a few years ago, has been it's been established initially with a triple mandate, to serve as a stabilization fund, and also as a future generations fund, which is the heritage component. And then it used to have a third component, which was infrastructure financing. And then a few years ago, the government decided to decouple the infrastructure financing component into a special vehicle, which we now call the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. So, strictly speaking, we still have the Ghana Petroleum Funds.
And that's the managing partner at Confident Advisory Group, Michael Kuto. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. And Farmer recorded one of its biggest drop in value on the Ghana Stock Exchange. It was down by 17 pesos. And tomorrow it opened for trading at 16 Ghana cedis, 29 pesos. EcoBank was also down by 13 pesos to close at 11 Ghana cedis, 5 pesos. Carbank was down by 5 pesos, closed at 1 Ghana cedis, 40 pesos. And that's all for business on NewsNite. Back to you, Evans. Happy to present the news.
Thank you, George. Some of your messages coming through on our WhatsApp. Consul Citizen Francis, this matter is simple. There are two sides of the story, on our side and Ken's side. What prevents us as individuals to listen to both sides and do our analysis and judge? This one from Godsid says, Anas, don't allow people in influence to influence you from doing good things. Kudos for you. Keep it up to minimize bribery and corruption in Ghana. Raphael from Ashon Massa, please tell Kennedy Japan. That's a cheat. It will happen live. No libi. But this last one is what, number 8? No, Delali from Abeka says UJ president is biased about Manasseh's expose over Nasser's one. His statement is unprofessional. The final one says, this serious police officers in this country, how on earth will police officers put their hands in someone's pocket with which law in this country allows that? Douglas from DC. It's now time for sports, and you can see Baba on Facebook Live already dancing. I'm wondering what she's dancing to. Hello, Babs. You're forgetting that you're on Facebook Live.
Song in my head.
Yeah, the fun in the studio.
That's how it happens. So you take your drugs.
Oh, I'm high on some cheap drugs. It's fine. Okay, so you've been talking about Anas, and this thing will not go away after his premiere on June 6th. And guess who is the latest wade into the conversation? Is Ghana international Emmanuel Ajiman-Bidu. And he thinks that Ghana can draw a lot of positives from the yet-to-be-premiered controversial spy project, Doubt Number 12, put together by investigative journalist Anas Arimia Anas. Now, the video, which will be premiered on Wednesday, June 6th, has stirred up a lot of controversy, creating some sort of division among the Ghanaian public. Now, there's a section of Ghanaians who can hardly wait for the video on alleged corruption practices in football and politics, and there are others who have questioned the credibility and modus operandi of Anas, and they are vehemently opposing the premiere. For Udinese and Black Stars midfielder Emmanuel Ajiman-Bidu, the video should bring about some positivity in Ghana football if any of the corruption allegations turn out to be true.
I don't know what is in the video, so it will be very difficult for me to talk about it, but if the video comes and what we are hearing outside is in the video, then people may lose their job. That is the negative side. And the positive side is maybe things will change. We need to do a lot. It's not like what we have reached is okay for us. That is what I mean. So whatever happens on the video, you will get negative side and positive side. And we need to just concentrate on the positive side, which we can up our game and make the nation proud.
Emmanuel Ajiman-Bidu also talks about the changes he would like to see in Ghana football in the imminent future.
I want the pitches, because we have too much quality in the country. And you see, at times, blasters, when we are playing in Ghana, we suffer a bit. But when you go to Europe, where we have a good pitches, you see everybody showcase his talent on the pitch. And I have been saying this, if he can do anything about the pitches. And I can see the minister is really doing well. He's doing a lot of construction works on the pitches. Maybe he has started with the stands and the scoreboards. I'm pleading with him. After that, he needs to care about the pitches because we have a talent in the country who can make the nation proud.
All right, so there are some international friendly matches, some already done, others still taking place. India beats Kenya by 3-0. Armenia and Moldova drew goalless. Morocco and Slovakia at halftime 0-0. Serbia 0, Chile 0. And then that big one between Italy and Netherlands is just 10 minutes old, and it's still goalless. Now quickly to Roland Garros, and Diego Schwartzman, he is through to the next stage of the competition. That's the quarterfinals after beating Kevin Anderson in 5 sets. Rafael Nadal, he beat Maximilian Matterer in 3 sets. Marin Cilic fought hard to beat Fabio Fognini in 5 sets. And then Juan Martin Del Potro, he's also through after beating American John Isner 6-4, 6-4, 6-4. In the women's division, Simona Halep is through to the next stage after beating Elise Mertens. Daria Kasatina beats world number 2 Caroline Wozniacki 7-6, 6-3 to progress. Angelique Kerber also beat Caroline Garcia 6-2, 6-3. And Serena Williams gave Maria Sharapova a walkover. So Serena actually didn't get to the court at all. And then former world number 1 Garbine Muguruza also saw her game Licia Turenko retiring, and so Garbine Muguruza progressing to the quarterfinals of Roland Garros in the women's singles. Evans and MFA Sports is done.
Thank you very much. I'm pretty sad for Serena Williams. Was it that dropped out today? Baba, thank you very much.
Now, former President Rawlings has criticized the unity drive led by national executives of the opposition NDC, saying it appears to be a parochial agenda aimed at marketing some individuals and excluding others. As you know, some national executives and former President Mahama have been embarking on unity walks in a bid to repair the cracks within the party following its electoral defeat in 2016. While addressing cadres and members of the party at a program in Accra to commemorate the 39th anniversary of the June 4 uprising, former President Rawlings says the unity drive must be inclusive if the party intends to win future elections. Listen.
When we make reference to unity, it should not be a parochial agenda aimed at marketing some individuals. The unity drive should be all-encompassing, driven by the passion and desire to repair the cracks that led to 2016. A unity drive should not further widen the cracks and alienate many of the valuable talents that we have in the party that can help to elevate it back to the heights that our rivals were envious of. Potential candidates deserve to be treated with respect and equity. The survival of the NDC is not hinged on individuals.
Well, former President Rawlings also accused some members of the party of further dividing the NDC.
As our party attempts to pick up the pieces of what led to our deplorable loss in 2016, we have once again decided to employ the same tactics that led to us losing power. Some are still sponsored to denigrate those who are bold to speak the truth. Some aspiring candidates are abused by some national executives who are supposed to be non-aligned, at least publicly. Elections at the grassroots are fraught with complaints of varying degrees, and we're still pursuing an agenda that further alienates us from the core values of why we exist.
And that's Jerry John Rawlings, former president, that's speaking today at the June 4 event. Now, one of the most anticipated premieres of all time, it's the number 12 investigative journalist Anas Arema's investigative piece that he did about the GFA, corruption in football in general. And as you can imagine, the last week, I don't know if you remember, last week we did GFA. Mm-hmm. We asked people to tell us what what the abbreviation GFA means, and you'll be scandalized to hear what people told us. Well, there are other terminologies emerging really from this whole conversation about Nasser's video. Listen to comedians Langabell and Rubin on their understanding of these words on the Weekend City show last Saturday.
Do you understand expose? The time you know, I was there exposing you.
Expose means that you want to expose me for people to know that I am that I